I sadly saw the weather yesterday and I was very upset because I knew with the pond nearby it would have flooded out onto the softer grass, and I had planned to send you all out for a quick run around that before we began. But I then looked this morning, I thought no, it's just still a little bit soggy for the good shoes. So today's plan is we're going to talk a small little bit about exercise, refer again to the oxygen, and again to introduce to 2,000 steps a day challenge. Okay, to give you some help and, as I say, assistance in staying active and making the best out of the abilities you have, and making the best use out of your oxygen, as I say, and maintaining your, as I say, your lifestyle comfortably. So just going back again, mine isn't quite as posh as Kate's, but just to refer to the situation, we came into this world, we hopefully arrived with a nice spongy looking, well-working set of lungs. But unfortunately with the fact of disease, and it's for some of you, fibrosis, for others, other forms of respiratory disease, but it's almost like our lungs have been sealed away from the outside world, and it's very difficult at times to get oxygen through them and into our system. And on that basis, we end up with a situation where we're breathless. It frightens the life out of us, as it should, because breathlessness means we're not getting enough oxygen and we need to take measures to adjust that. We then find the easiest remedy is to become immobile, not to do anything that's going to make us breathless, and round the circle goes, and it just gets worse and worse. And the one way of coming out and breaking through that circuit and that dreadful cycle is activity and exercise. But again, it needs to be done in some sort of a measured fashion. The breathlessness itself acts as avoidance from activity, and as I say, it's the one thing any of us would do is stop when we do something if we get breathless. This in turn is a vicious circle. It makes us more unfit, it makes us more tired, and round it goes, as I said before. And as time goes on, the less you do, the less you can do. And as I say, what you don't use, you lose, as they say. And finding a way out of this cycle is what we're going to look at. The other issues that happen when you are not active is, as we've referred before, weight gain, and even when you are active, weight gain. But as I say, this is not going to help. Osteoporosis, because you're not weight bearing on your bones on a regular pattern. And some of you may be taking medications that may encourage the loss of calcium from your bones. And weight bearing is the one way, either by virtue of your medication, or as I say, or by age. We all are losing calcium to a point. Well, me more than maybe others. Deconditioning, as I say, your muscles work best when they've been active. The more active they are kept, the fitter they remain, and the best use then you can make of the oxygen that you're taking into your system. And as I say, the breathlessness. So we know the circuit, we've got the whole cycle in our heads, and every one of you at some point along the way are living with that cycle. So the idea is therefore to work through it and apply the whole idea of exercise and oxygen possibly as a remedy. So we've got two ways of improving our exercise tolerance. We can actually take on one singular exercise program that we do every day, or we can accumulate exercise. The accumulating of exercise was kind of a newer idea. We either had to go and slog it out once, and if we couldn't do it once and do a long length of exercise, the idea was you really weren't doing anything. But the fact is you can also accumulate your activity, and in accumulating it you become fitter, and therefore you can lengthen your time of exercising. But you have to do it regularly. It's not much use doing it, and we all do it. We've all done the 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days, crippled ourselves for about 2 days, talked sense to ourselves, never again are we being so foolish, and we just don't do, maybe next week we'll do 1 or 2, and then it fades off completely, and you don't even know where the runners went to, or the shoes went to. They're somewhere under the bed, too far to go after them, and you're not going to pick them up again. But the idea is, unfortunately, a bit like the dietary advice, you have to work at it every day, and nothing is magic. You have to believe in magic, but nothing is magic. You actually have to work at it on a regular basis. So we know the benefits of exercise. Just to recap, stronger muscles, the more efficient. It's like a well-tuned engine. The more better tuned they are, the more better use they make of the fuel. It can improve your mood just to get out and feel a little more control in life again, and you're doing something you want to do. And it's something that, say, getting washed, getting dressed, completely flags some people out. If you can get a little quicker and a little better at doing these things, it would be nice. To do a little exercise on a regular basis may be an assistance towards that. improving bone strength, as we said as well, and helps with weight management. You can be fast and fit and you can still be fat. Okay, and that's basically the way somebody once said, and I said, well, that's a great help, thanks. But the fact is, it will help with weight management 2 ways. Yes, the exercise will burn calories. Number 2, it might just keep you away from temptation. It might be better to go for a walk with a friend than a cup of tea and one of those muffins or one of those extra snacks. So again, remembering this is where we have the situation. The difficulty lies here in the fact of trying to transfer the oxygen from and into our lungs, and from that into our bloodstream is where the difficulty arises. And when you can't change something, you try a different angle. The famous phrase of there's more than one way to skin a cat. Okay, basically, your doctor may prescribe oxygen. Now, everybody goes, oh no, I don't want to do that. Oxygen, some people look, and as all of you who are using it know, it is such an assistance and such a help and makes such a difference. Now, why is oxygen important? All right. We need it from the size we are there, as I say, to onwards to this gentleman here who's trotting around the foothills. We need it for any activity in the body. My memory stick made a little jump there the other night and I knew it had moved a few things. The breathlessness and the control of your breathlessness therefore allows a much more comfortable lifestyle. Because otherwise you are going to refrain from doing things, or it means you'll not do other things because doing the simple activities of daily life take too much out of you. And that's just not on. This is not a rehearsal. What we have at the moment is what we need to be able to use our time and enjoy our time when we're doing anything. So the idea that we can minimise the drudgeries of certain things and use something to assist us to be able to do and enjoy things more, the important things in life. And the more important thing is that the lack of adequate amount of oxygen can put our organs under pressure. And that's not what should be going on either. So just remember, it is advantageous. If your doctor recommends oxygen, it is not a terrible thing. It is good that somebody has assisted you and assessed you. Now, we all know the myths. We've all heard them. If I get used to it, they told me I'll get addicted to it. Now, we all have to accept one simple fact: we are addicted to oxygen. 21% is floating around in the air in here. If we shut the doors, pull the curtains, and it gets less and less, we're going to get miserable. So we are addicted. Live with it now. The next thing is to say, I heard of a person, and many said, oh, blew up. And we've heard the fire officer speak about oxygen. Oxygen itself is inherently safe. Add something, and I can tell you 1 or 2 names of stories that would go that people did have explosions around oxygen, but it didn't sort of usually involve a cigarette and a lighter, I will tell you. And they are not recommended ways to go with any form of oxygen that will enhance fire. Anyways, now the one that really bothers me sometimes when people say it means I'm getting worse. It probably, on the other hand, means that somebody has actually assessed you correctly and is now getting you on a well-managed road, and that you did always need the oxygen in the more recent times, but nobody actually sat down, took a look at your walking, took a look at your desaturating levels in your blood, and said to you, I've actually got a remedy. So please don't consider it's the fact that somebody said to you you're getting worse. It's actually the fact that they've probably given you an assistance and an aid that you probably required for quite a length of time, either living in denial or probably just hadn't moved along the medical line enough to have that offered. So I say, please don't look at it as a negative thing. It is wonderful to have, and the amount and array of different forms of oxygen are phenomenal now. From the time that I even started working, which was a very long time ago, the oxygen supply methods have just phenomenally changed to such fabulous things that you can just pull around in wheels, things like the sequels, and I see them here, basic wheels on oxygen itself. It's just great, and it means that your lifestyles, days that you need to do, going on holidays, anywhere you want to use these things are possible. So please take time, one, to look here at what there are around. Not every single thing is suitable for everybody. There's only levels of ability with each piece of machinery. But do look and see what there is for you on offer, and do talk to any of your professionals about it. It's well worth it. It's not one fix for everybody. As I say, more importantly, make sure you're using it correctly. People have told me stories like the different levels of it. I was told not to turn it up. If your doctor recommends you turn it up turn it up. You're not saving the oxygen or yourself, you're just putting yourself under pressure. You do adjust the level of supply. You do it in a car when you drive, you put your foot in the accelerator to give more fuel to the engine. So when you need to do more and be more active, like getting washed and getting dressed, I'm amazed at the amount of people who are shocked when I say, do you use it in the shower? They go, no. But having a shower and getting dressed is probably more activity than a lot of you do in a regular day. And it is very demanding, particularly when you're using your upper limbs. Okay, so do adjust the supply, do inquire from your doctor, your physio, your respiratory nurse, whoever it may be, as to should you be adjusting your supply. Your oxygen supplier can't do that for you. They can follow whatever's prescribed and they can advise you and show you how to do it, but they actually can't change it for you. And it is important that, as I say, they have the prescription from somebody and then they can assist you in any way you need. And exercise, if you're going to move, you need to turn up the fuel, and the fuel is your oxygen. You increase it as you're advised. And to say anybody will assist you with that, and to say your oxygen company can then show you how you can do it. So that brings me to what we really wanted to talk to you today about, particularly is the 2,000 steps a day challenge. Now 2,000 steps is like a phenomenal distance. There is the original 10,000 steps a day, which is 5 miles. That is what is recommended for all of us, and it's a long time around, and you'll find websites referring to this on a regular basis. 10,000 steps a day is 5 miles, but as the man says, don't panic. I'm not going to make you actually aim towards things like that. I like to aim for about 4 times that. But let's look at the 2,000. If we want to go metric, we can go 2,500. Okay, but the mile. 2005 is 2K. Really, if I thought you could aim towards 2,000 steps a day, every day, hand on heart, promise yourself something like that, this would be a very good idea, and you're not necessarily going to do it in the first week, but you will be able to do it in a certain length of time. Okay? If you stand at the front door of this hotel and look straight across to the trees, because there's no leaves there, you'll see Morton Stadium. On the 6th of August in 1958, I think it was, Herb Elliott broke the 4-minute mile. 5 people broke the 4-minute mile on that day, and one of them was our own Ronnie Delaney. So we're not looking for amazing magic like that, but what we would like to think is that we can actually attain the 2,000 steps a day. There is a pack put together, which I will tell you about now in a moment, but initially I'd just like to say the list of names there, we gave the information, the pack, and the other bits to these people. They very kindly tried it out, came back with their feedback, and we adjusted what was adjustable and what might make it more suitable. And for that we are extremely grateful, and they know themselves, they're up there. What's the pack made up of? It's made up of an exercise diary. It's made up of a leaflet with all the information you need to make 2,000 steps. All right, everything from pacing yourself, and we'll talk a little bit about it, to a pedometer, to even better, 2 high-vis vests. So they're going to see you going out every day, but number 2, you can drag a friend. All right? They're really going to love you. And also there's the nastiest and the sneakiest thing of all, which is the promise to yourself. It's a week contract, a little few words to remind you how important you are. And number 2, you're going to stick it on your fridge, your television, the front door, the mirror, better than all. And you're going to sign a bit at the bottom of that says, I will try. Okay? Because that's all you can expect to do is try. So that is sneaky, because I was always brought up in a house that they always said when there's going to be a problem, the only person guaranteed to be there is yourself. So this is the same thing. It's you that you make the promise to, not whoever's been nagging you to get out and walk, and to eat less, to do more exercise. It's just you, that face you see in the mirror every morning when you walk into the bathroom. So as I said, there is a pedometer. It is small, but actually very readable. It does calories, it does the amount of steps you do. The calories, I won't push you to set the calorie numbers, but it isn't a bad idea to realise how much exercise you have to do to burn off the smallest drink of fizzy orange. But it is important to do, but it will count your steps very easily. And as I say, and it is good, particularly for the beginning as you get yourself on the road to your 2,000 steps, to realise how far it is or isn't, and to see how you can build it. After a while, you'll begin to get to know your distance, and particularly if it's a regular one you're doing. So pedometer, the information leaflet, and as I say, there's a bag for all of those with respiratory problems in the corner there. How to get started, pacing yourself, I'll make reference in a moment, using the pedometer, very simple. Just pull the little plastic bit off and off it goes. The high vis, and as I say, that promise to yourself, because I think that probably is the one that's the most important. You have to remember that you have a greater chance, just like the weight loss, if you kind of set realistic goals. You're not going to get it all done in a week. You're not going to be up to perfect in a week. It takes a little time. Speak to whomsoever you normally deal with, your doctor, your nurse, your physio, whoever you have locally, or as I say, when you come to your clinics. You also need to be patient. There are good days and there are not so good days. I don't believe in bad days, not so good days. Okay? And therefore, they may come with maybe a slight chest infection, a day you're a bit fed up, wicked weather like we've had over the past little while, and I have a remedy for that too, for exercise. Pace yourself. Challenge, give yourself a little push, challenge yourself. When you're in safe surroundings and you have somebody with you, what's the harm? You can always stop or slow down. Just challenge yourself, and more importantly, reward yourself with something nice, sensible, something you'll do, okay? Apart from just a pat on the back, because we all need to tell ourselves we're great every now and then, because there's not always somebody around to do that for us. Pacing yourself, as I say, is what is going to, on a 0 to 10 basis. A lot of you have done 6-minute walk tests, and you were asked a 0 to 10. A lot of you have been asked opinions on things. When you're exercising, try to keep your breathing at a moderately breathless level. Moderately breathless. Okay? That means you aren't necessarily able to talk in full sentences, but you are able to communicate. Okay? Whistling, some people find if they can whistle and walk at the same time, it kind of keeps them at a level. That may mean that you have to slow back a pace to get the best tuning from you, your oxygen maybe, and the rest of your body. As you get a little fitter and as you get more used to your exercise, you'll actually get a little bit further in the same length of time. But it's almost like you'll get more bang for your buck. If you keep up the exercise, you won't get as breathless. Now, as I say, with an infection, with an exacerbation, with a flare-up, you're going to have days that you are more breathless than others. So your best area to judge is your breathlessness, not the speed you walk at, nothing like that. Okay? So hence a pedometer. It's the steps, not the length of time it takes you to do it. It doesn't mean the faster. You will get quicker if you keep up any exercise. But the more important thing is to maintain a comfortable and not get frightened with your breathing. Because if you do it and scare yourself, or whoever is with you, they aren't going to go walking with you again. That's very simply it. They're going to go, I'm not going with you. Or they'll come home and say, I'm not going with John anymore. You frightened the life out of me. And the whole idea is just to get yourself settled into a nice, comfortable pace. And it doesn't matter how slow it is. I remember I broke my ankle many years ago and I used to go out for my walk trying to get back on my feet. And I went down Dollymount Pier. I used to get dropped on Dollymount Pier and go for a walk. And there was one little man who used to go by me walking with his togs under his arm, go in for a swim, be dry and come back and pass me by, and I was still walking down. And I was nearly in tears most days thinking I'm never going to get any faster. But I can now scoot up and down that pier without a problem about 2 months later, and I was there to watch him get into the water. So the whole idea is don't compare yourself to, it doesn't matter who's 50 years older than you. They're usually 20 years younger than you. Everything is at this point in life. But just pick your own pace and go at it. All right? And don't let everything around you affect how you're moving. If you move in a group of people, you will try and keep pace with them. And as I always say in the Mater, there's the link corridor. And I watch patients, they're actually almost gathered along by the speed. You just need to concentrate on your own pace. Now, a few, as I say, the usual phrases. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Get out and get going and just start off. It will gather, you'd be surprised. Every single step counts. So if it's 2,000, every single step counts. Try to increase your number of steps until you get up to that aim. Some of you may be up at 2,000 steps and that's great. Keep at it and push even more onto it if you can. You don't need to do the 2,000 steps in one go, because remember I said to you about accumulating exercises? Some of you find your breathing is much more compromised than others, so you can gather it slowly. It's 100 steps, it's 50 out to the door, from there out to the front door here and back. If you do that 10 times, you're half it done. These are the ways you break it down. So it means that you use different methods to do that. You can do it, RTE have 4 breaks in every hour of screening. And there's about 3 minutes to 4 minutes, if not, depending on the day that's in it or the match that is on. If you could stand up out of your chair, if you insist on being sort of in front of the television for a whole of Saturday and Sunday, stand up out of your chair in every break and walk in and out and up and down the hallway, you're going to be on the move. Okay? And you'd be surprised how you accumulate the exercise. Now, there was a little bit of feedback from when we asked people using things. Some people found the pedometers didn't exactly measure what they thought they had done. Pedometers, as a rule, have a 20 to 30% discrepancy. So if you've got 6 pedometers and pin them all over you, they will be different. All right, so don't get lost on the very nitty-gritty of the points. Put the promise me bit somewhere you can see it, so it's there going yeah, yeah, yeah every time you look. All right, don't hide it away and say, oh yeah, I must put that somewhere. A little bit of blue tack on the mirror. Weather. Have we had weather? Weather issues. Some people suggested, which I thought was a very good one, and they do it in America for cardiac rehab, is they open the malls in America for at 7 in the morning to allow all of the, particularly down in, so say, the directions where you would have an older age group, and it is you'd be killed in the crush. There is a constant circuiting of the malls because it's warm, and as I say, it's flat. Likewise, shopping centre, if you don't have wheels in your oxygen, grab the local wheelie thing there and wander around the place and do the shops. It's a bit of a distraction, but you're still doing your walking. Use anything. Seating that's around, mobile seating, as I've regularly said, if that's what helps, so you know you can sit for a moment if you need to, rather than trying to make a dash for the next seat or whatever. If it's in the house and you've got something like a treadmill, or some people tell me they have walkers and things, maybe the television on or your radio program that's going to distract you enough. And anything on wheels that will bring your oxygen with you if it'll help you. Anything that will get you moving 2,000 steps a day. It's a challenge, but if you could take it and go with it, you will be managing to do yourself a huge favour when it comes to your wellness. As I say, balancing the energy, you have to decide what's important. There may be a day you've got something you're supposed to do, anything from a doctor's appointment to go to a particular event. Manage that. Decide you only have so much energy, so don't set yourself up for about 4 or 5 things because you can't do them. And you're only going to end up unwell or so disheartened when you get there, or so tired that you don't enjoy them. So don't. Plan. Good times a day, okay, where you've got time and space to do things. When are you best? When do you feel at your best? Breaking small tasks, things down to smaller tasks, okay? And for somebody who's pushing you to exercise all the time, I also say take time to relax, okay? It's your regrouping and your gathering time. And also avoid, if there's things that are constantly on the floor, bring them up to a higher level. Don't stand for too long, and in reverse, don't sit for too long, okay? That applies to any of us who are getting any bit older or stiffer. Sitting for too long or standing for too long, it's immobility. But as I say, these basic things are the things you can do to manage. We only have a finite amount. So moving forward and looking forward, exercise should be a basic part of your life. It's important as any inhaler or any tablet you take, and it can only enhance whatever you're using. You can't store the benefits. It's like elastic. Once you let it go, it just recoils all the way back to where you stopped. Okay, and then back again further. So just remember that spring effect. As I said to you, put it on the same importance as your exercise, and never waste energy. If it's something that somebody else can do because it'll allow you to do something else that you would enjoy more or is more important to you, then try and do it. There's too many good things we should be doing than wasting energy on things that we really hate doing, don't want to do, maybe need to change your lifestyle. It might just mean bringing something downstairs. It doesn't need to be upstairs every time because it exhausts you. Now, I showed this before. There are 5,020 steps climbing Croagh Patrick, if you wish. And never mind the fact that it's uphill, that's immaterial, totally. And apart from a marauding elephant or overrun by a giraffe, it'll take you about 20-ish days to do Kilimanjaro with some warm clothing for the top. All right. So more importantly, every journey began with one small step. And if you look, Giant's Causeway, very much in the talk at the moment, you can't do it that way, but you can do it if you take that little short set of steps up that way. Okay, and that's how you build. Now, in reference to this pack, it comes in a bag, all right? Your high-vis vests are here. I'm told there are, Nicola, always a stickler for utter detail. It says there's slightly different sizes in the vest, so do have a swap around if you find one thing's not going to fit and swap with somebody else. There's a diary. That means you write down things and say that what you've done and what you've not done, so you can look back. And it's a 52-week diary. On each page, it has a slightly uplifting little thought for the day. But there's also a little bit there, and when people were talking about the idea of weight loss and working on weight, there's a comment bit after each day. So maybe that's something that you'd like to, at the start of a week and at the end of a week, write in if you're working at your weight loss. But it's all there. It comes with, there's no excuse. It even comes with a pen. Okay, so there is no getting away with this. There is one thing I will say too, is I know a lot of people are inclined to carry water or a drink with them when they walk. For 2,000 steps, I'm not sure if you actually need one, but more dangerous is that you will come back maybe from your walk thirsty and head straight into the fridge. Try and make sure you've got something easy, low calorie, or even just sparkling water around when you come in, because you automatically pick up the nearest fizzy drink or sparkling drink, and if it's a high sugar one, you're kind of eating up a lot of those calories that you just thought you might have lost on this speedometer. I have to say one thing. Over the past while we've been putting this together, I have to say I've thought about it, and Nicola did all the donkey work. I have to say she did everything from print to putting it together to making sure it was right and sending it to the printers. I have to say without her this wouldn't exist. Never mind anything else. It'd still be a thought in my head and no more, because that's mainly where any bright ideas stay unless you've got a doer, and she certainly was a doer with all of this.